Hey, what's up YouTube? SLED New England back for another season. This video we're going to be going over some preseason maintenance that I like to typically do to my sled, make sure I'm ready to go once there's enough snow on the ground to go hit the trails and hit the woods. First, we'll take a look at the fluids, make sure everything's topped off. Throw in a fresh set of spark plugs. Always want to make sure that we get a fresh set in for the season. Take a look at the clutch. We're going to go in there, clean it, make sure those look good, put the belt back in, do an adjustment if it's needed. We'll go over that, what you need to look for in an adjustment. We're going to be going over crankcase oil. We're going to drain that, put some fresh oil in there. I like to do that every year, especially with the amount of miles and hours we put on it. Then we'll be taking a look at the track. Going to go back there, see the deflection, make sure the deflection's appropriate, and if we need to, we'll tighten the tension up. Also, we'll look at the slides, make sure the slides are healthy. I don't think we're going to have to change those this year. For everyone that's new to the channel, this is a 2019 Polaris Assault 850. It's got the new Patriot. I snow checked it the first year that they had the 850. Got the 144 track with the 2-inch lug. Been really happy with it, excited for another season. This year we're going to be doing some preseason videos in addition to this. One of them we're going to be going over skis in carbides. Right now I have CNA Pro XCS skis on it. Was not a fan of the Polaris Pro steers. This year we're going to be making a switch. We're going to go over that and why we're going to do that. Also this year we partnered with One Rig Design. I'll have the link in the description. They have a solution to put scratchers on a Polaris skid without any drilling or anything unnecessary. It's a nice solution. Right now I have one of their first gen designs on it with cable style springs. We're going to be putting a fresh set on there and a different type of scratcher, so look out for that video. And also, we partnered up with FXR Racing this year. They're supporting us for this season, and so I purchased a whole new set of gear. Going to be going over that, reviewing it, comparing it to the old gear, and yeah, so look out for that video. All right, we'll jump right in. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take off this front hood, make sure we get enough space and have access to everything. Get the two clips up top, make sure the screen is disconnected. It is. Slides right off. All right, so we have hot soapy water with this Scotch pad or something to clean the surfaces. We'll go in there, we'll clean the insides of the clutch, and then we'll clean the belt, warm soapy water, and we'll throw that on. All right, now we're going to take the belt and we'll clean this as well. Belt looks pretty healthy. Get the spare belt. We'll clean that one too. But yeah, we'll just clean up the surfaces, make sure we get good friction between the clutches and the belt. You can go ahead and rinse this with some hot water under in the sink. I'll have to run in the house and do that. I'm gonna get water without soap to clean up the clutches, dry that all out, get that looking nice. All right, we rinsed off the belt. Now I'm gonna use the compressor to just get them nice and clean, dry them off. All right, now we're gonna clean out the clutches, get all this soap out of there, and then we'll throw the belt back on. All right, we got most of the water out of there. We're gonna let that air dry a little bit. We'll probably put the belts on a little later, and I'll get that on film. Great. On to the next step. So we're gonna throw the belt back on. Just one note: if you look at the belt, on the top you have these ridges on the belt. When we go to adjust the clutch, you want the bottom of these notches or ridges, whatever you want to call them. You want the bottom of these to be aligned with the top of the secondary clutch. So you're going to want to move the clutch a little bit, let it rotate, let the belt find its home spot. So you need to run and spin the track to do this. So we'll do that later on in the video once we get the battery in and rest of everything done. So I'm just going to throw it on now, and we'll take a look at the adjustment later on. All right, clutch is open. Nice and clean, nice and dry. Let's throw this in here first. Get it on the primary. All right, that's good. Go. Get that good, then we could take this off, let the secondary close up. So once we get everything else done, we'll get this up and running, get the track up in the air, let this spin, and then we'll look at our belt deflection. All right, next we're gonna drain and put in fresh chain case oil. It's two different ways you can do this. You can either take out the full fill plug and use a pump to pump oil in there, or to really get all the oil out of there, what you do is you take your battery out, which we already have ours out, and you loosen the bottom three of the chain, the bottom three bolts of the chain case cover. Pry that open a little bit. You got to take 2 screws out of the bottom of this side panel, and it will just drip down. Some oil collects, but it's easy to clean out. They have a little space so it all collects. It doesn't go across your whole belly pan. So we're going to do that, and I'll show you in the manual the 3 bolts. It's hard to see in here, so we'll take a look at that in the manual. And yeah, so let's do it. So here in the manual shows the 3 bolt locations. On the left you can see the front 2, and on the right you can see the bottom last bolt that's right near the fill plug. So we're gonna loosen those 3 right after we loosen the bottom 2 screws on the belly pan, and then that'll allow us to drain it. To give us a little bit more space to get in here and change the oil, what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen some of these side panels. We're gonna pop them off. So we gotta get these plastic fasteners here off to give us some room. I'm gonna take out the battery holder or battery housing. We have 2 10 millimeters on the left, and then we have a star bolt. I think the star is a T40, and you're gonna need the same T40 for the 2 screws on the bottom to loosen this pan. Then you're gonna use 10 millimeter to loosen those 3 bolts on the chain case. So let's get at it. While we're in here, looks like we're a little low on some coolant, so we'll top that off in a minute. All right, so now we have a good amount of space in here. Let's take out the battery. This area gets pretty dirty on the sled just because of the brake dust, so I'll take that Scotch pad and some warm soapy water and clean up the area a little bit. This 2-threaded studs pops out of the back. We'll save that, throw that back on. Now we gotta get down there. That T, what did I say it was? A 40, T40? Yeah. Actually, I may be pulling off the exhaust to check the chain tension. There's a zip tie down here that you just want to cut. It's holding the wires to the battery housing. Once you cut that, should be good. There we go. Yeah, so we could throw in another zip tie. I'll put this back together. All right. So now you get enough space. Got one here, one near the fill plug. We'll loosen those. Oil will come out down here, so we'll have to put the oil pan underneath. I need to take the 2 T40s on the bottom of this. I need to back those out to get some space. I'll probably just put like a screwdriver in there to hold it open a little bit. Yeah, and then I am gonna take this exhaust off to check the chain tension. So why don't we do that now to give us even more space? All right, now we will take these 10 millimeters off. Actually, no, not take them off, just loosen them. So loosen these a little bit, and then I will remove the drain plug to let it get some free air in there. Back these out. And then you want to pry this open, but you don't want to, they put little flanges here for you to pry it open, but you don't want to mar the surface, so you gotta be careful with that. So the drain plug is a magnet, so you want to clean off all the metal shavings on that. There you go. All right, so that's done draining. So now we'll just clean up the remaining oil. And then fill it up with fresh oil. So there's a little oil that collects down here, but it's not much. I don't know why Polaris didn't put a drain plug on the bottom of this, but they didn't. So you got to do a little bit of cleaning. Just going to tighten these 10 millimeters down so any leftover doesn't continue to seep out, but it should be pretty dry now. All right, those are snug. Clean it up a little bit more. Just gonna spray some brake cleaner in there. I'm gonna take the opportunity while you have all this space to just clean up in here. Like I said, from all the brake dust, it gets pretty dirty. So we'll take hot water, soapy hot water, clean this up. Let's torque these 3 bolts down. Let's fill up the oil, and then we'll close this up. Right, the three 10mm bolts on the crankcase calls for 6 to 10 foot-pounds. So I got my torque wrench here. I can't reach this one with my torque wrench, so I'll just do it by hand. Just snug it. All right, that's good. Now let's fill the oil. All right, now we're gonna fill it. Polaris calls for, I think it's roughly 10 ounces, but basically you just fill it until oil starts coming up and spilling over here. That's when you know it's filled. So go ahead, grab a paper towel to collect any oil that's gonna come out. Throw the funnel there. You're using a Polaris fully synthetic Snowmobile chain case lubricant. So we'll put that on an angle. So you can see there, oil is right up to the thread. So now you just throw your fill plug on and torque that down. All right, that's hand tight. We'll go look up the torque spec for that. All right, the torque spec on this is 4 to 4.9 foot-pounds, which is very, very light. I don't even know if my torque wrench goes down that much, but we will see. Yep, so my torque wrench doesn't go below 10, so I'm just going to snug this up by hand. No need to make it very tight. There's a rubber O-ring on there, so you just get it nice and snug, and you're good. All right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to check the chain tension in here. So what you got to do here is you got to go on the drive clutch on the other side of the machine and turn that counterclockwise. While you're turning counterclockwise, you take the brake and then you lock the brake. What that does is that takes the tension off the chain inside the chain case here. And then that allows us to adjust the tension here. So I'm going to go over there, turn the drive clutch counterclockwise, lock the brake, and we'll come back here and tighten this up. All right, so you want to first loosen this lock bolt, the jam nut. That's a 15mm. Loosen that, and then we'll adjust. You could use a 14 on the head of the adjustment bolt just to give you a lot of space on this lock nut. Then we'll torque that back down. It's a very unscientific way to tighten this. So what you do is, once you get enough space, right, you turn your drive clutch secondary counterclockwise, takes the tension off the chain. Then you just use your hands to tighten this as much as you can. Polaris says finger tight, so you go as far as you can with your fingers. So I guess it depends on how strong your fingers are, but then it says back it off a quarter turn right there, and then we come down a quarter, a little bit more, a little bit more, right there. Then you lock up your jam nut. That's good. That's all tight. Now I'm going to clean up this area, and then we'll get it all back together. All right, we got everything back together. I got the battery installed, cleaned up the best I can in there. Again, it's around the brake, so that you see a lot of brake dust, and that gets on the surfaces, and that's tough to clean. But everything's back together. I'll give you a close-up look of that, and then we're on to the next thing. All right, so we got the sled together. Hooked up the battery, put the exhaust back on. I got it set up where connected to a ratchet strap to the roof to get the track off the ground, because we're going to measure track tension now. So to do this, you want to run it, get the track loose and limber a little bit. It's not going to be warm, but a little bit warmed up. And then you want to measure the deflection from the bottom of the rails, 16 inches from the rear axle. You're going to apply a force of 10 pounds. So I bought this little force gauge on Amazon. And so I'll apply 10 pounds, 16 inches from the rear axle, and then the deflection from the from the rail to the track needs to be anywhere from 7/8 of an inch to 1 1 1/8. So we'll take a look at that and see where we stand right now. I adjusted at the end of last year, so not sure if I'm gonna have to adjust it again. So 16 inches from the rear axle is about 1/2 inch ahead of this bogey right here. So I'm going to apply 10 pounds, which I just look at here and make sure that I don't apply too much. And then we need 7/8 to 1 1/8. So I'll apply that force right here down to that little mark. And then it looks like we are at, let's see, it actually might be a little tight. So I applied 10 pounds of force right here, measured 7/8. It looked like it was around 11 pounds. The track, this came right out of the trailer, so I think this is fine. It's a little bit tight, so we'll probably loosen up early on in the season. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let it run a little bit, make sure that the track is aligned on both sides. And how I do that is I let it run, and then I measure the distance between these lugs on the track to the slides, and just make sure that it's equal on both sides. That means your track's traveling parallel on the rails. So that looks good. All right, now that we're able to run the track and get the belt going, we could take a look at the belt adjustment. So we'll take a look down here. So looking at the track adjustment, if you look at the notches, the bottom of the notch on the belt looks like it's just a little bit under the edge of the clutch. Try to get a better light there. It looks like the clutch may need to be adjusted just a little bit tighter, but we're gonna leave it like that until we get out on our first ride, and then we'll check back on the adjustment. All right, that's it. We got the sled ready to go. Just finished cleaning everything best we can. Did a coat with Maxima Oil's SC1. Used that back in my motocross days. Makes everything look nice. Yeah. So subscribe, like the channel. We're going to be doing a couple more videos, like I said. We're going to be doing one on the skis. Putting on a new set of skis this year. I'll talk about why we're doing that. We're going to be putting on new scratchers and scratcher mounts from One Rig Design. So we'll have a video about that. And then we're also going to do a video on the new FXR gear that we have that I'm going to be running this year. So that's it. Check in for the next one. See you.